Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Brilliant Transitions for Biz podcast. I'm your host, Stacey D.M. Shaw, and I welcome all of you tonight. This podcast is about where we have conversations with extraordinary business professionals who will be sharing their stories of transition, resilience, lessons, and expertise that have led to transformation and success. Tonight's episode is Marketing and PR Dynamics for Entrepreneurial Success with Keandra Ward. Let me tell you, everybody, I'm going to tell you this episode is going to be amazing. Yes, every episode is amazing, but wait till I read her bio. I'm serious. Listen, let me tell you a little bit about my amazing guest. Do not underestimate Keandra Ward's small frame. She is the sonic boom. You hear that? Sonic boom. Yep. In the corporate room. As an award-winning national keynote speaker, Keandra transformed the narrative of organizations from good to great, and she challenges corporate audiences to shift from wishful thinking to courageous being. She intuitively assists her clients to develop workflow designs that are easily adaptable for immediate implementation. Keandra is a masterful transition agent that recognizes pieces of the puzzle that can be salvaged and upgraded to the next level within the organization structure while simultaneously coaching clients. Her entrepreneurial spirit began at the age of 14, and by the age of 18, she owned her first beauty salon, followed by her second beauty salon at the age of 24. Her educational achievements include a bachelor's of psychology from the University of South Florida and a master's of internet marketing from Full Sail University, accompanied by a vault of over 25 certifications. Since Keandra continues as the primary caregiver of her mother, she has founded Key Cares. Key Cares is a nurturing community that supports individuals who find themselves as caregivers due to various health, medical, and financial resources. Listen, I told you that it's a powerhouse, a sonic boom. It's coming on. Let's welcome,
Hello.
Keandra.
Oh my goodness. Hi. Welcome. Well, thank you for having me. I'm saying welcome, y'all. Well, welcome everybody.
Thank you so much for joining me. This is amazing. I told you when we were speaking behind, your bio says a lot, but you have done some great things, and you're here tonight to share with the audience, the viewers, the listeners, more about marketing, more about PR, more about Keandra. So guess what? We are going to start off with you telling everybody who is Keandra and what you do.
Absolutely. So my name is Keandra Ward. I am a publicist by trade, and I own a marketing, public relations, and media firm here in Tampa, Florida. As my bio said, I am also a full-time caregiver of my mother, and I am now an empty nester. So I'm really navigating this new flow of life and business as an empty nester. Ultimately, my goal is to help you get clarity, gain focus so that you can consistently generate profits within your business using visibility and marketing efforts. So that's a little bit about who I am.
Awesome. Visibility. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. You and I had that conversation. Visibility.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
I'm not even going to go there because I know what you're going to do to me. So I will not even touch that yet. So, Keandra, when you hear the word transition, because you actually have this word, actually went through several transitions too in business. But when you hear the word transition, what comes to mind, especially dealing from a business perspective?
For me, it's another level of growth. I think that some people look at transition in such a negative way. Like, I am having to transition, I have to change. But what we have to realize is that change is actually good. And transition means another level of growth, another level of you. It requires you to step in a new volume and space. And a lot of times we get very comfortable. But when you have to transition, you have to change. And ultimately it's growth.
I totally agree with you with that, but there's so many people that are afraid of change.
Oh, absolutely.
They are so accustomed to be in their comfort zone and they don't want to change. What would you say to somebody who is listening or who listens to the replay who is afraid of change? What would you say to them?
That you don't want to be in business.
Ooh.
I mean,
okay.
you don't want to be in business, because business is being an entrepreneur is about growth and change. And every level of entrepreneurship and every level of growth, my friend and I have talked about that a lot, that you have to define and redefine a new level of yourself. And so you do have to change in order to grow into the next phase of where your brand is going. And so if you don't like change, then you don't want to be in business. And it's okay. I tell people all the time, it's okay to have a 9-to-5 and have, go through the steps of growth there, get to your max, sit there until it's time to retire. There is nothing wrong with that if that's what makes you comfortable. But if you are afraid of change, then this just isn't the space for you.
You just hit on something right there. I told you we may not even go to these questions because you just hit on something right there, because there are coaches, there are mentors, there are people that put fear into other people about having a 9-to-5.
Right.
And they are like, okay, so something is wrong with having a 9-to-5, but yet still they're not called to entrepreneurship.
Right. And what people don't realize is it's not just called to doing the part that you love. You have to do everything else in the beginning. You have to be the personal assistant. You have to be the marketer. You have to be the brand strategist. You have to be the accountant. You have to be the bookkeeper. You have to be the cleanup person. You have to be the setup person. You have to be all those things. And it takes more than what people make it seem like, oh, I'm going to launch this business, everybody's going to come and buy. If I build it, they will come. That theory it drives me crazy. It's like, you never know. And in some cases, don't get it wrong, there are opportunities where you build a brand and people flock to it immediately because there's an immediate need for that. But that's not always the case. There is a process and there is growth. And my friend Liz, I believe she's on here now, we were talking about that today. I said, where have you seen a business that has grown and just launched and had immediate success in the first 2 years, like just for it? Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't always happen that way. And so what happens is most times we get to right when you get tired is when you want to switch up the brand. But that's in marketing where you should become more consistent. And so that's when you're ready to change, that's where I'm as a marketer, like, oh, no, there's no changing. Because then if you think about it, you have to start all the way over. Ooh. You're starting from square one again. It makes no sense to me. I'm like, no, we're not changing. This is where we're going.
Ooh, yes, because you know what? That was what happened to me years ago. I was like, okay, I got burnt out. I don't, and I switch. And each time that you switch and you start from the bottom all over again.
My strategy in marketing is called relationship marketing. I'm a relationship marketing strategist, and most people are like, oh, and I'm not talking loving relationships, like I'm helping you find a man or a woman. That's not it. I'm helping you understand the relationship between you, your brand, and your client. And that is a relationship that is built. That's the type of marketing structure that I do. Yes, we look at SEO, and yes, we look at all those other things. But if you don't understand that relationship, if you think about it from a relationships perspective, you're dating somebody. and now you're tired. But you know, y'all have decided that y'all gonna work this out and you're gonna get married, and this is great. But you're at that lull place, so we just gonna drop him and pick up a new one, and then having to start that process all over. Like, it's the same thing. Like, I want people to begin to look at it that way, because now you see it in a different light. If I can allow you to see the way you structure marketing and your brand in a more relatable way, then you'll handle it differently.
My gosh, I never ever looked at it like that. That is an amazing analogy. Relationship marketing. Listen, no, I mean, we're just 10 minutes in, everybody, and Keandra is dropping some serious nuggets.
Lord.
Relationship marketing. I have never ever heard of it that way, or ever explained to me that way, and that makes so much sense, because if you don't, it's a relationship with your followers, it's a relationship with your clients. And if you don't operate that way, you're really going to mess up yourself, not only yourself, but your clients too, because they're depending on you.
And the relationship, there's stages within the growth of the relationship, you know? And so you have to look at marketing like that, like building a relationship internally and externally. And so that's what we do for our clients, is really help them to understand that, yes, we can run an ad. That's great. Yes, we can do keyword searches, and we do all of those things. But if we're not building a proper relationship around those strategies, it doesn't matter anyway. And so you just have to think of it. I was telling our client today in our meeting, I said, a friend of mine, he actually is a relationship coach. And I'm, David Burns, I'm taking this from another perspective, but his hashtag is permission to think differently. And so I told my client today, I said, I want to give you permission to think differently about marketing and how you do it, and how, and she's a leadership coach. You have to give people permission to think differently as it relates to leadership and how to lead, So I told, I'm not going to steal it, David, but I am going to share it. Okay. I loved it. I was like, that makes so much sense,
It makes a whole, and I mean, it ties in so much with what you are saying, because one, all of us, well, let me not say all of us, a lot of us have the old way of thinking with marketing, as we were saying, and we have to be able to think differently. But if we don't have somebody like you showing us how to think differently and giving us the permission to think differently and telling us that we can think differently, we're just going to keep going in that repetitive cycle, going over and around and round and round, and we will not know why we are not achieving the results that we want to achieve.
And then what ends up happening is you have a core group of people who are there. I call them your riders. They are going to follow you. They love who you are as a person, right? So when you switch your brand up, you're switching the name, you're switching the titles of stuff, and you're not consistent. They're going to jump in on it because they're already committed to you. But then you're upset because you don't have a new slew of people coming into your brand. And that's because there's a segment of the people that have followed you that are confused. They still love you, but they're confused, right? And then you have a segment of people who don't understand. And the reason why they don't understand what you're doing is because you don't understand what you're doing, because you switched it. And when you're switching it, you're in the process of starting over, right? So you're still trying to map out what that looks like. So you have all these fancy names, you spend all this time on all these things, but is that really producing the consistency that your brand needs over time? And I mean, I've been there. Y'all, please do not get mad at me. I am only telling you what I have been through myself. You know what I'm saying? And what I've seen happen. And that's because we got to the place of getting tired. And so we also have to look at, we are a microwave society. And just like people are throwing, if people cannot honor the guise of marriage and throw them away so quickly, what makes them not throw everything else away so quickly? You know what I'm saying? So if you can throw things away so quickly, then what would make you be consistent within your own strategy, within your own brand, with the own market of people that follow you? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, geez. Listen, I mean, I am I'm already floored because it's so much that you are sharing. I'm trying to take notes. And I mean, I can't take notes because I'm like, okay, let me listen. But I
You'll
love
have the
everything.
replay. Just watch the replay.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's when I realized I was like, I'm just gonna put the pen down and go back to the replay
Oh
because
goodness.
you are we haven't even got into half of what I was planning on
That's all
speaking to
right.
you about, but as I said, let it flow. So tell me, Keandra, what inspired you to transition from the beauty industry to marketing, PR, and business consulting?
Interesting enough, that was a 3-part transfer and transition. So I had been in the beauty industry since I was 14 years old. It is something that I have wanted to do. I'd wanted to do since I was young. My grandmother, my family will tell you that that was a part of just me. And I did that. I started working in a salon at 14. Well, my mother ended up having an illness that required me to become her full-time caregiver, which also took me from being able to be in the salon full-time. At the time, I was actually working, I had my own salon and I was working for a hair care company doing training as an educator for the company. And my boss at the time, as I was transitioning, he actually gave me the idea. He said, "Why don't you coach? Like, you're always giving us ideas. You're very creative." And I was like, "Who is gonna listen to me?" And he was like, "Keandra, we've been listening to you for 5 years. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, talking about. We always coming to you for stuff, you know." And I was like, "True." And so I began to kind of research. And then honestly, I know Miss Cheryl Pullins. She was one of my clients in the beauty when I was doing hair. That's how I met
Wow.
her. That's how we met. And she was sitting in the chair and she was starting her brand at the time. And so I was like, well, I'm about to do some changing too. So you want to help figure this out? And so we worked through that together. And she kind of helped me with the transition between, because at first I was coaching just beauty industry professionals because that was a
Okay.
safe space for me. And then
Okay.
people were like, hey, can you help me? It was a company, a carpet cleaning company that called me. And we're like, hey, we see what you're doing with my sister, who's a hairstylist. Can you do that for our brand? And I was like, I don't know. And I kind of did that. And then it just kind of transitioned from beauty industry to just coaching and mentoring for brands. I have always been in the space of marketing. My coaching has always been from the outlook of marketing. I went and got my marketing degree, but to be honest, I was extremely afraid to move into the space fully up until the last 3 years. And it got to a place, if you know me, you know my faith is very, very, very important to me. And the way that God works with me is he'll get me to where I'm irritated. I'm just irritated, okay? And everything was going where I was making a lot of money, doing very well. My mother, I became her full-time caregiver, began coaching from home, doing very well, public speaking, traveling. But there was just something just wasn't it. Like I couldn't. And so I kind of paused. I slowed down. I stopped taking one-on-one clients for a long time. And I just didn't know what to do. And then 3 years ago, two amazing men who were in two different businesses both came to me, one for marketing and one for public relations. One was like, I want you to be the PR for my client. And another one was like, I want you to do the first year of marketing for our brand we're starting up. And I was like, I don't do anything. I don't publicly do that. And so, no. And they were like, no, no, no. God said you, and you will do it. And that's kind of how I got started doing the KWI, the marketing, PR, and media as a unit and as a business, because people were like, no, this is what God said to do, and we're not going to accept no for an answer.
I
And
know
so
that's
I was
right.
like, I said, are you guys okay with being my guinea pigs? Because I ain't done this part of it. I know. And they were like, I know you know how to, if you don't do anything else, you know how to figure it out, you will figure it out. And I had already had my degree. I'm continuing to take certifications in the space. And I had already done my own personal PR. So I've taken certifications and stuff in that. And so I said, it's not like I don't have the knowledge. I just had never done it for anybody else. And it's still a journey. We're only 2.5, 3 years in, and it's still a journey.
But guess what? As I told you when we were offline, I have been watching you, and I listen to your lives, and even just now with the little time that we have been speaking, you are sharing so much wealth of information. So yes, I totally agree with them that that you will figure it out, but you're also very good at it. So although you're
Thank
three
you.
years in, I'm sure that more clients will come to you. And to the viewers, to anybody that's listening, listen, if you are in need of a relationship, you heard the word relationship marketing. You have to relationship marketing for within your business. Reach out to Keandra because you can she is sharing information. She knows her stuff, and she will be able to take your business, help you to build a good brand so that you can attract the clients that you want. So
Absolutely.
listen,
Thank you for
I
that. I
love
appreciate it.
how, but you know what? It's we don't realize that people watch us because, as you said, you didn't expect to walk into this, and the person that you're working with, they said, Keandra, we have been taking advice from you for 5 years. And
Yeah.
just like that, that is how you walk into it. So we have to show up the right way, show up authentically, and do what we are called to do, because we will attract all the people and all the clients that is assigned to us.
Right. And it's been a great journey. Like we've really had a very consistent flow of clients, and we've been able to really kind of hash it. And in the process of knowing this, as we're doing it for our clients, we're also doing it for ourselves, because again, we are, still mapping out our marketing journey and our relationship journey and what that is going to look like. And we have to be okay with not doing it right all the time. We have to be okay with trying new things. And the one thing I would, want to stress is being creative. Don't be
Mm,
afraid to be creative. Um, for a long time, years ago, I wore purple hair for a very long time, and then I
I
took it out.
remember that.
And I stopped wearing purple hair for it was literally just because I had it for so long. I had it before my brand, so it wasn't really a brand strategy. It was me. I always had purple hair, and so I kind of just wanted to change it up for some time. And just recently, this year, I said I want to go back to that because that's where I feel more comfortable in my creative space. So when you're thinking of creatively, when you're mapping your brand and building, you want to look at every aspect: the way you look, the way you feel, the way your brand looks, the way it feels, all of those things. And if you do not have that in sync, then you hit up like Liz Everett. She's a brand strategist. Like that's you hit up those people. And I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I know what it's supposed to look like, but I'm not doing it. Mm-mm. So we turn a lot of people away because I'm like, you're not ready for, because if the brand is not ready for the visibility, it won't make sense to make you visible.
Ooh, okay. Repeat.
She said she's doing this. I can't. Stacey, I cannot.
Sorry. Repeat that again. If the brand, oh yeah, repeat that one again.
If the brand is not ready for the visibility, it does not make sense to make you visible.
Listen, people, did you hear that? If
I
your
mean,
brand, mm, go ahead. No, go ahead, Keandra. Go ahead.
yeah. I mean, it's a must. Just like Liz said, the must be ready. It really is. And you have to it's just very important to be ready, because here's an example.
Mhm.
You want me to pitch you, and you want to go on TV. You want to go on a high rating show that breeds a lot of conversions. You want a lot of people to go to the show. Then you want them, the conversion you want them to do is to go to your website. And then when they get there, you want them to purchase, or you want them to sign up. But you don't have the bandwidth on your website to hold the influx, and your website crashes. You have to think their mindset is probably a half a second to 2 minutes, right? They're looking at you right now. They're ready to buy from you right now. They have an issue. Little Johnny just said, "Hey, mommy, I need you to, I use the bathroom." So now their mind is on little Johnny. Then it's on little Johnny. Then it's on, "Hey, let me wash these clothes because he messed up over his stuff. Oh, wait, as I'm washing these clothes, let me just go ahead and clean the house. Oh, let me get ready for tomorrow." And guess what they forgot about is you in that order. Right? So then it's important to have retargeting strategies that bring them back to your site marketing wise when you're building your marketing strategy, because they didn't forgot. You can't expect them to remember that. It was your fault because your site crashed. You weren't prepared for them.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
They were ready to buy, you weren't prepared. And it's just thinking about building a relationship. I came to the date.
But you weren't ready.
You weren't ready.
So I had to leave.
I'm here. So I had to leave.
Oh my God.
And now that I'm gone, I stopped at other stores. I'm not going back that way.
No. So you lost out.
Right.
You lost out because you're not ready.
Right.
So in a case like that, Keandra, for somebody who is not ready, what would you say to them, or maybe share 2 things that you could tell them to help them to start getting ready so they don't end up missing that client or missing
go to a
the
brand
date?
strategist. Go to a brand strategist and get the brand itself ready. That's the first thing. So that you're very clear on the look, feel, strategy of the brand, like who you are, what you do, like that needs to be extremely clear, right? And then when we come into the picture, we're looking at, all right, let's look at your website. Is that ready? I don't want to look at does everything make sense across our job is to then come in and make sure that everything makes sense across the platform. But if you've had a brand strategist do it, I know that when you come in, everything across each platform makes sense. Now it's my job to then do the research on who can we connect you to visibility, and depending on, if we're doing PR or marketing or PR and marketing, is your website ready does it have the bandwidth? Are the links set up? Those type of things. Like, is it all ready and consistent and ready for the visibility that you're looking for? So it's a process. Like, here's what happens. I'll find someone and they'll come to me. They say they're ready. I go from their Facebook to the Instagram to the LinkedIn. I go to everything, Twitter. We research every social media platform that you can possibly be on. And there's no cohesion around it. And what I mean by that, you taking the same flyer and putting it on everyone is not cohesive. It's not. It's not cohesive.
What would you say is cohesion? What would you say to somebody? You know what? Before we get to that question, for a new company or a new business that is starting that wants to be out there, they're going to a brand strategist. Do you recommend them being on all social media platforms? That's my first question.
Not necessarily, no. I think that's where when it comes to marketing and having a strategist, really understanding your market and who you serve and where they are. I think that the focus should be on those places. You should have a presence everywhere. Okay. Because people are going to be everywhere, and your presence needs to lead them back to where you want them to be. But there should be a primary focus. Like, for instance, I do Instagram, but my people are on Facebook. It just is what it is. It's just how my brand was built. And so I get a lot more traction, response, clients from Facebook, but that doesn't mean that I'm not on Instagram. That doesn't mean that I'm not on TikTok. It's just I just handle them differently. And as my brand grows and as our team grows, then I'll decide if we want to implement new strategies on different platforms. But I have one or two platforms that I believe. Now, LinkedIn is always one that you should be on and be active on. And then you pick maybe one or two other ones that you can kind of, that correlate with your brand though. You know, it doesn't make sense to be somewhere that doesn't correlate with your brand and what your brand is. So that means you got to learn each platform and really learn, you know, where your clients are, how they like to receive information. That's important. You know, there are people that have brands that people don't like a lot of words. They like pictures. So you need to know that. So what platforms would they be on most? And you need to go there. Maybe there are people that I like information. I'm an information driven person. I want to read. So where are the platforms that give you the extension of the bandwidth to be able to write more so that you have more detail and so that they can read a little bit more? What does that look like? So a lot of marketing is really understanding who you're marketing to. And the reason why people don't get the results that they are looking for is they're talking, but they're not talking to the right people. And or they're trying to talk to everybody. And when you know, I tell people all the time, understand who your market is and talk to them. You'll always get the outliers. You will always get the outliers, the people who are not, you know, everybody that created an avatar. And that's a whole nother. So we're not about to go into the avatar talk with me because I get we're not going into the avatar talk with me. Okay. But everybody has created the avatar, right? But nobody talks to their avatar. You've created an avatar that you're not talking to. And I can tell when you come to me, you show me your avatar, and then I go to your social media. You're not talking to these people. Right? And so you're trying to talk to everybody. And so then, you know, if you talk to your market and really understand where they are and how to communicate and how they buy, how they gather information, how they receive information, then you will have outliers. You'll have people that are outside of that are going to come because they're going to be attracted to the sound of what you're saying, but that's not who you're talking to. And it's okay, you know, and then they can come in and they can enjoy and they can, you know, buy, purchase and everything. But you should be talking to the people you say you're talking to within your brand strategy. Everybody creates, they tell you who's your target market and who's your avatar. If you go back, and then they'll bring me the sheet of paper. They have a picture of her and everything. And she loves bowling and she loves this. So then I ask, where are you advertising? If she loves bowling and she loves these things, have you gone to where's your marketing at? Are you in the spaces that you say in this avatar that she is or he is? Where's your marketing? Are you in those spaces? And if you aren't, then you're not talking to your avatar. You've just done a kindergarten creative project.
Ooh,
because
did she? Keandra just told the people. Oh, I'm sorry, people. She just told y'all that you did a kindergarten. Oh, assignment.
Well, I say that about that, and I say that about that and vision boards. You just did arts and crafts. If you're not, you and your friends got some wine and you did arts and crafts. That's what you did. If like, what's the point in doing all this stuff if we're not using it? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Listen, Keandra. Okay, so you're doing kindergarten for your vision board and for your avatars if you're not using it, people.
Yeah.
So use your stuff. But so how does somebody find their demographics? How do they do the research? Because so many people, as you said, they're on all platforms. They're just selling or posting or to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know who they're supposed to be posting to. They don't know where they should be. What is one thing you would say to them in terms of how to find who they?
Well, when I ask this general question to everybody, when you started your business, who was it for and why? Because most people don't start a business without being able to solve a problem or finding a need. So who was the need for when you started? What was the need? Let's start there. I think it's important to figure that out first. When you started, where was the need? Who needed it? Why did you start it? In most cases, you know, when you answer that question and then I look at your client list or your clientele or the people that are connected to you, that's not even who you're marketing to. What was the beginning? Why did you start this? And who was it for? Because there's a demographic or sector of people that you started it for because you found an issue. So I would start there.
So start there. Why did you start it? And who did you start it for? So that is where you need to start. If you do not know who your audience is, who are the people you're supposed to be marketing to, who did you start the business for, and why did you start it?
Or what problem were you solving, and who were you solving that problem for? Like, if you think about it, like, for instance, when it came to me starting the KWI Collective, I realized that the people that were coming to me and why I started it, there were 2 funded startups who needed structure, who needed PR, and needed. So I service funded startups. We know that you might be a startup company, but you have some funding behind you for the marketing efforts that we need to do what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? So funded startups are one of my core target markets. What I then found out that a lot of people were reaching out to me and they just could not afford our agency prices. But there is there's some things that they could learn in preparation, which is why I now have the complimentary group. And then that from the complimentary group, you can go, if you want an up-level experience, you can go to the paid experience of that. And that's still a very minimal fee. And that actually is prepping them for agency work. Like, and then, when they're ready, if they do what they're supposed to do in there, they'll be ready to pay agency prices when it's time. So I found that there were 2 markets. I initially went in to serve one market and found that there was another market that we could serve within what we do, and then not take from what we're doing from our primary market.
Awesome. And we will speak more about that so that the viewers and the listeners can know about those programs that you have. At the end, I want you to sort of expand on that they can find out what you're doing and how they can connect with you, because you're a wealth of knowledge. And I'm serious.
Thank you.
You're a wealth of knowledge, honestly. So we're already at 37. Oh my gosh. And we haven't even gone through half of it, but as I said, we will do what we can. And then everybody, you connect with Keandra. She will give you the links on how to reach out to her, and you connect with her, and then you can have a strategist session if she has that. Whatever it is that she have, you can have that to connect with her and find out how she can help you. So tell me, can you elaborate on your belief? So you have this in your bio, right? Can you elaborate on your belief that every business is a living organism with its own brand identity?
Absolutely. Again, it's very easy. You can have a twin and y'all have your own identities, right? And a brand is, in every business, when I say a living organism, something that is living is thriving and moving and being, right? And so every business has their own thrive structure, move structure, and being structure. And with that, everyone is not the same, which is why the whole competitive, we do the same thing. I don't subscribe to that, because if in life I can have a twin and we can be identical but still be very different, then that's how it is in business. There's no way you can actually be the same. And so when you understand how the organism of your business and how it moves, how it breathes, the feel of it, the smell of it, all of your brand, then you can move effectively within your marketing strategy. Everyone has one. You just have to figure out what the flow of your business is. I have friends that are, I call myself, like, I'm not really glam, I like to dress. I can be a little hood. I can be a little, depending on where we at, how I'm feeling that day, how I'm gonna show up. Okay. Then I have friends that that are very glam. Then I have them that are very studious, and they have the organism of who they is of their brand is very structured. We're classes. We're studying. I have my jacket pin up, my glasses, and so it just kind of depends. And I think that what you have to understand is that it's your job as the owner of the vehicle of the business to really understand what the organism of your business is, and how does it flow, how does it move, how does it breathe, how does it go, what's the strategy of how you do things, what's the makeup of it. Every brand has DNA to me. Everyone does, and everyone is different.
Wow.
Even if you do
That's
the
true.
same things, I don't care if you do the same thing, because when I go into a strategy session with you, it's going to be a totally different idea if I go into a strategy session with someone else and we're talking about the same things. Why? Because we have different backgrounds, we have different structures, we can talk about the same thing but have a different way of relaying it,
Wow.
or have a different way of understanding it. And so that's why I don't know, I just feel like it's important to really like, most people don't realize that you really have to dig into your business. Like, you really have to feel it. You have to, like, I need to know what the process and experience is like all the way through for someone. And if you have not structured your brand to have a team that kind of helps you kind of flow that, then that depends on you. And that also can become a problem if you don't feel like it today. If you don't feel like it today, that should not change the client experience.
That's true. That is so true. I think it was maybe around two months ago. I was actually on my mentor's podcast, and one thing that I said was, yes, everybody starts their business from the ground, and as you said, Keandra, your hand is in everything when you just start. But if after
Right.
4, 5, 6 years you don't have a team, you have a hobby.
I have a talk that's called "Are You Running a Business or an Expensive Hobby?" I started that talk maybe 9 years ago. That used to be my main talk, my primary talk, because I realized, you know, the story behind that is I went to go buy a car, and somebody ended up telling me, you running an expensive hobby. This ain't no business the way you handling this. And so I was like, oh, okay.
Ooh.
And so I was in my 20s, I was doing hair, had the salon, doing very well, making great money. But when it came down to the paper side of it, it looked like I was running an expensive hobby versus an actual business. And so he, really woke me up to that. And so that was one of my first talks, because that was one of the statements that changed the trajectory of how I did business.
And that is so true, because for me, I didn't understand that when I had the business before. I changed it like 2 times before now, because just like you said, I have been through it. Just like you have been through it, where you got burnout, and then you
Mm-hmm.
decide to change, and then you have to start from the bottom all the way back up. And I've done it twice, and this time I was like, no, going through the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, and I'm sticking to it,
To
because
it.
business, as you said, business is about change, it's about growth. And if you can't embrace change, if you can't embrace growth, you need to actually go to the 9 to 5.
Right. And it's okay. Like, you do not
Yes,
know how many times I've said, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and look up, because I've been to the nine to
yes,
fives. I got a great resume over there too. So I'm like,
yes.
let me go sit down somewhere. I've been there, because it's not an easy thing to do. And then when it comes to marketing, most people, and for what I do, it makes it even harder, because most people don't come to me until they really feel like they need it. when in fact you should be coming to me more in the beginning, because we have to
Beginning.
build out the strategy and build out consistency. But then people come to me and they say, I got 90 days to make this work, or we got to shut down. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to take that. Like, you're not going to put that pressure on me when you've been doing this for 5 years, and then you want me to come do something in 90 days. That's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
no.
it's true. You're right. Let me give you one better than that. So I work with businesses to help them create effective business operations, their back end, so that it runs smoothly. And I have people coming to me that says, I need my SOPs, but they have been in business 10, 15, 20 years. I'm like, but they want it now. I'm like, no, if you should have started that process from the beginning. You should have started documenting all of your processes from the beginning. And then as your business grow and as it changes, you tweak and you edit. Not when you're making
Now they
money
want
and
you to
then
start it from scratch after 15 years. Oh yeah. We did. Yeah. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there. And
exactly.
it's and then, not that things cannot happen. There are things that God will put grace on and
Yes.
accelerate it. And it's not that it's
Yes.
not impossible. But I can't, you still have to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible does say faith without works is
The
dead. And so
works is
there's some work
dead.
that has to go in. And so there is in marketing, there's some consistency, especially when you're thinking about like now really delving into an SEO strategy. Like, I have no control over that. You have to take the time and the consistency, and because that's what it takes for those type of strategies. Like, there's no switch that we can click on the back of Google because we didn't pay to have access and be like, make that website. We can't do that. There's strategies, there's key, and you have to continuously do them so that they build traction. I mean, I don't know. I have learned that people know that they need it.
But
And they try to combine branding and marketing into one thing. And I tell people all the time, branding is not marketing and marketing is not branding. And so what they'll do is and not that they shouldn't, they'll put an exuberant amount of time and effort into that side, but then leave like $10 over here. You know what I'm saying? When it should definitely be a mixture of build out, so that as you're building the brand, you're also working on the marketing side to start building that consistency, so that when the brand is fully ready and has kind of grown and has some legs to walk on, you're not building consistency from scratch at that point. Now you already have some traction, and now you're ready. And now the brand is ready for more PR opportunities. It's ready for a little more press. You know what I'm saying? And things like
I
that,
agree.
to be able to handle the visibility and to get the conversions that you're looking for.
I totally agree, because your business is supposed to be everybody. I think they should reach out to you at the foundation, at the beginning,
I agree.
at the
And I'm not
foundation.
saying that just to be saying that because I want y'all to call me. That really is like makes sense, right? Like, I'm really not saying that. Like, in order to really do it, it really is true. Like,
it makes sense.
and
It's not a matter of
our
just
side seems the slower side. Our side seems like the slower. Nothing's really
yes,
going on because we're doing so
yes,
much back end stuff, and then it's like boom, and now bam, bam, bam on the marketing PR side. It's
yes.
like go, 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 go. But that's because we've done the consistency part, and we've started at a space where we're building that from the back
Mm-hmm.
end, making sure, going into these websites and making sure that the keywords are that the website is still tracking for the same keywords, because they may have changed, for relevant keywords for the time. If you put keywords in your website 2 years ago, that does not mean that those are the relevant keywords for today. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just certain things that we're doing that people on the outside don't see. And so they don't see value in what we're doing until a certain point, until traction starts. But then it takes time and consistency for that. or you can make the large payments for
Yes.
faster traction. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, what most people don't realize is for marketing agencies, at minimum, you know, some companies are paying 10 grand a month at minimum.
At minimum, yes.
5 to 10 grand a month at minimum. You know what I'm saying? And so then here it is, you don't have that type of funding. You may only have 500, you may have 1500. And so it's starting from a different financial perspective, because also the fees that we charge are not just sitting in our pockets. We have to pay for ads. We have to pay for these things. Like, it's not like, where do you think it's coming from? Like, it's not coming out of the blue. Like, so these are things that have to be paid for as you're building out, and that are needed, you know, the platforms that are needed to do the things that you're looking to do. And then making sure that you are ready for the visibility. I can get you on TV, but
Mm.
if you sound like you crazy and you are
Did she just
I mean, you look and sound crazy. And so what's the point? You know what I'm saying? You're nervous. You don't realize that as soon as the light hits, you get so nervous, you're sweating all outside of yourself. You're stumbling over your words. You don't even have the proper training to be on the TV that you want to be on, you know? And so starting with, you know, starting in spaces to kind of help see how you do and do those things, that's also a process and preparation to prepare you for the media. We do media training, you know, I mean, all of these things, making sure that you have the sound bites that you need, making sure, you know, just it's all kind of things, making sure that you are ready and prepared for the visibility that you desire all the way around. And most people don't consider that. All they want to do is be on TV.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And it's not a bad thing. Like, you want to be
It's not,
on it. I'm
but
not saying, right.
no, it's not. But you still have to do the preparation. You still have to do the work.
You don't
It's not
realize
just
that you get
about,
so nervous. Right. You don't realize that you get so nervous and you have a nervous twitch because you've never gotten that nervous before. So you've never been
you've
in a
never been on
position. So
TV
now,
before.
right. So now you're on TV twitching. Didn't even know you had a nervous twitch. So now you're not even, you know, I mean, it's just there's all type of scenarios that can happen. Or you don't have the proper training on how to handle difficult questions, and keep a straight face on
Mm.
TV. You know what I'm saying? You know, yes, you can give people a list of, these are the questions, these are things we don't want to talk about, but that doesn't mean the journalist isn't going to try. So how are you going to handle that? How are you going to handle when you've done an interview and maybe you've said something that went viral that was positive in your mind, but they took it negatively? How are you going to manage those things? But you want to be on TV, you know,
Wow.
you want to, you know, there's a lot of perspectives that people don't think about. I tell people all the time, I've been really, you know, scaling and watching um Ty Tribbett and the Breakfast Club, and how, you know, everybody just took a part of what he said and they're going with it, and
Mhm,
it went
mhm.
viral, and how he's managing and what, you know, just all of those things. Like, you have to look at what happens if you get on a show like that has great visibility, and you just say something in the nature of who you're talking, in the language that you normally talk, this is how you normally are, you feel comfortable, but the world doesn't take the way you said it right. How do you manage that? What does that look like?
Wow.
You know, so
Keandra,
there's a lot of parts of the media that you got to think about.
listen, there is so, we have not, the what I emailed to you, right? I think we have just gotten to have, and we are at just about an hour. I mean, I'm going to have you come back on the show. You
So
shared
you can ask the
so,
questions. That's so funny.
I mean, you shared so much information. So I want to tell all the listeners, anybody who listens to the replay, take the time and watch the replay over and over. Keandra really shared a lot of wealth, a lot of information. I mean, there's so much that she shared that I didn't even know. And that relationship marketing thing is still in the back of my head. But to end it, Keandra, this is going to be, I'm going to spotlight you. If you can really just open up to the viewers, let them know what you have going on, how they can connect with you, any workshops, anything that you're doing. This segment is all about you. So I'm going to take myself out and I'm going to give the floor to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. I definitely hope that you were able to gain some type of knowledge or even new thought processes from the time that we've had today. So, to connect with me, there are several ways you can connect with me on all social media. Is at Keandra Ward. That's Facebook, IG, Instagram, or at the KWI Collective. Those are both spaces. In addition, on Facebook, we have a private Facebook group that is complimentary called the Backstage with the KWI Collective. Our backstage group is literally where I talk all things marketing, PR, and media. I don't do a lot of talking and lives outside of that group on this topic. When I go live publicly, it's more um, it's about a conglomerate of things. But when we're talking about these things, that's the place that you can find me to talk about those things the most. But if you have any questions, you can always also visit our website at the kwcollective.com, in addition to our social media outlets.
Awesome, awesome, Keandra. Wow, this was amazing. The hour went by very fast, but I have learned so much from you. Thank you. I appreciate you for taking the
Thank
time to
you.
come on and to share your wealth of knowledge. And I know the viewers, once they listen to the replay, they are going to see what I saw, why I needed you on the show, because
I
you
appreciate you.
know your stuff and
Thank you.
you have your business to help other people, help their visibility and to help them grow and to increase their business. So I thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. And I look forward, I promise you, I look forward to having you back on the show because we still have
We have about 8 places to
we,
go.
we still have a lot that we did not cover, but thank you again. I appreciate you so much.
You are so very welcome, and thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity just to come and share and to be able to engage on your platform.
You're so welcome. Well, everybody, wasn't that an amazing, amazing show? I want to thank Keandra again for coming on and for sharing her wealth of knowledge with everybody. Please, please, please go back and listen to the recording and listen to the replay and take your notes. But before I go, I always like to share with you a tip, a business tip. So what I'm going to do today actually is to remove myself from the screen and I'm going to share with you a business tip before we end the show. I want to thank you again for joining me for another episode of Brilliant Transition for Business podcast. Until next time, where I have another amazing guest. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.